The monologue is sponsored locally by Backyard Works, your premier fence, deck, and handrail source. Owned and operated here in Sussex County. Visit them online to view stunning projects at backyardworks.net and give the local experts a call for your free quote at 302-703-9888. The monologue is entitled, You Be the Judge. On Thursday's monologue, I discussed what happens when corrupt individuals in power use their power to corrupt our justice system. Corrupting our system of justice can and is happening at all levels of governance in the United States. But nowhere is this level of corruption more apparent than right here in little old Delaware. That's right, Delaware, the first state to sign on to a relatively new concept of equal justice under the law when our founding fathers signed on to the U.S. Constitution, has become a festering sewer of corrupt courts, a good old boy network of arrogant judges, and an attorney general and staff which would have been more comfortable working for Monty Hall on Let's Make a Deal. And the reality, honest, hardworking Delawareans who need to utilize our court system through no fault of their own cannot be assured of being exposed to equal justice. They will only be exposed to a system of justice reminiscent of the Dukes of Hazzard. Here is a typical Delaware Department of Justice case, and I am sure you will remember it. I sure did. I actually did 2 shows covering this horrible accident on Route 1 when a family of 6 was going home to New Jersey following their family vacation in Ocean City back in July of 2018. A southbound driver on Route 1 by the name of Alvin Hubbard III, 46 years of age, of Cambridge, Maryland, received a 1-year probation sentence from Judge Calvin L. Scott Jr. The sentence came Friday in a Delaware courtroom. Probation! Why, even Kathy Jennings' ultra-liberal DOJ asked for a 6-month jail term. This judge, Calvin Scott, has been on the court for 16 years. And he has another 8 years to go. I suppose at that time he'll retire and sit around getting fat on his Delaware pension. It's absolutely sickening. So I guess we really don't need term limits for judges. But we really need to be cognizant of one fact, and that is when we go into the voting booth to vote for a politician who has the power to appoint judges, like Calvin Scott. Even though Governor Ruth Ann Minner has been out of office for years, her appointed judge, Calvin Scott, is still negatively affecting the lives of Delawareans and shredding Delaware justice. Ruth Ann Minner is gone, but her appointed judges are still doing damage to Delaware. The accident that I was speaking of occurred back in July of 2018 and had multiple fatalities and was caused because the driver was apparently distracted and lost control of his pickup truck, causing the accident. We in the media tried for months to obtain the accident report, and you would think that DSP and then the Delaware Department of Justice was taking lessons from Adam Schiff. The Delaware DOJ was holding on to this report like it was the Manhattan Project or something. A Maryland resident breaks our laws, kills 5 people from the same family, severely injures another, and gets probation? The media and Delaware residents have to wait for months to see the report to find out what really happened? I have a question. Why was Kathy Jennings doing so much to protect a Maryland driver? The simple fact is, Kathy Jennings loves criminals more than you and me. Yes, that is exactly what I said. Since the accident, in typical Delaware fashion, DelDOT has installed center barriers in an attempt to prevent north-south crossover accidents on Route 1, similar to the one which claimed the 5 lives. DelDOT is very good at that, fixing the barn door after the horses come home. Remember what happened with the Route 495 debacle back in 2013? This ridiculous sentence is an outrage to every Delawarean. This judge needs to be removed by Governor Carney, or he should be forced by John Carney to resign, not tomorrow, today. This sentence made national headlines over the weekend, further proving to the nation that Delaware courts are a sewer bin and we are paying for this stench. And now we have an Attorney General, Kathy Jennings, who is the Delaware version of Kamala Harris. Jennings' progressive reforms to Delaware's justice system have given us one thing: more dangerous streets and neighborhoods. No one in Delaware is safe from Jennings' reforms, which are great if you are a criminal, not so good if you're a hard-working Delawarean. Here are a few tidbits from Kathy Jennings' progressive Department of Justice. Kathy Jennings will not charge suspects for multiple minimum mandatory crimes, limiting the number of charges in an indictment to those that most accurately reflect the misconduct and are most provable. In other words, even though you may have committed 25 crimes for which you were arrested, they're only going to charge you with a couple of them that they are sure they can get convictions on, which means they're going to ignore most of the bad things that you did. And that's our new Department of Justice under Kathy Jennings. And then, of course, we have gun crimes. They use a gun crime as a means of negotiating a deal with a bad guy. So as much as Kathy Jennings hates the fact that we have guns, she will never prosecute a gun charge. She only uses it to negotiate a deal with a bad guy. Kathy Jennings wants alternatives to prosecute those arrested for prostitution. Kathy Jennings wants guideline sentences of 0 to 12 months. Jennings deputies should ask for probation or home confinement when appropriate. Heaven knows we don't want to send the bad guys to jail, do we? Kathy Jennings deputies will work with Delaware probation and parole to avoid recommending prison sentences for technical violations such as missed curfews, etc. So here's the question: why have probation violations at all? Why pay for probation officers then? Why have a system of monitoring probation compliance by those convicted if we have no teeth to punish parole violators? We might as well just do away with the whole parole system, Kathy. What this all means, my friends, is that criminals who should be spending time in prison will be back in our neighborhoods on home confinement. Whatever happened to good old-fashioned law and order? Not in Kathy Jennings' Department of Justice. Kathy Jennings could not care less if we feel safe in our homes or safe walking down our streets. Kathy Jennings and Judge Calvin Scott couldn't care less about a family of 5 who was killed by an out-of-state motorist who broke our laws. Whatever happened to the state of Delaware promising to clamp down on inattentive driving? Were they just kidding, or was it selective enforcement? Here we have someone who killed 5 people and put another person in the hospital because of inattentive driving, and they're getting probation? This story is so disgustingly Delaware. Do we have the justice system that we deserve? You be the judge. And that's the monologue. What say you?